Hi, everyone. I'm Zahava Abend, head of LE Miami. We're so happy to have you all here today following an unpredictable and volatile few months, to say the least. This week is particularly special as it's officially LE Miami week. We're, of course, disappointed we couldn't bring everyone together in our usual limited edition style on our originally scheduled dates, but we can't wait to host everyone on South Beach this October. In the meantime, thanks for joining us for today's episode 5 of the LE Digital series, our LE Miami buyer panel. Today, we're going to hear from some of LE's top buyers on travelers' expectations and desires across all of our segments, including leisure, entertainment, and corporate markets. Our session leader, Katie McCann, is the owner and managing director of Sweet DNA, where she uses her extensive knowledge to manage travel and lifestyle for select clients across Europe and the US. Prior to this, Katie spent 10 years building the Mr. and Mrs. Smith Hotel Collection alongside the agency's owners. Katie, welcome. Today, Katie's going to be speaking with John Clifford, President of International Travel Management. John has over 3 decades of industry experience curating journeys and leading travelers. John, welcome to you as well. Alongside John, we have Rebecca Masri, founder of Little Emperors, a private members hotel club that uses sophisticated technology to track its 30,000 members' search and booking patterns. Thanks for joining us today. And last, but certainly not least, we're joined by Jason Cuvion, who established Bruvion Travel 15 years ago. Bruvion Travel has since grown into a high-end travel brand with agents in LA and New York, managing travel for touring artists, some of the biggest and my favorites, including Justin Timberlake, Cher, Shakira, and Mariah Carey. Jason, thanks for being here today. We're going to be opening up the floor for a live Q&A a little bit later, so please go ahead and submit your questions using Zoom's Q&A feature throughout today's discussion, and we'll do our best to get them answered. On this note, I'm going to go ahead and hand the floor over to Katie. Katie, over to you.
Thanks, Sahara. Yeah, we're all really happy to be here today to talk through a topic that we're all living through right now. We've all been looking at government updates and the press, and there seems to be a lot of unanswered questions, and it's a rather unpredictable situation. It's really good to come together with other buyers to discuss how firstly we navigate this situation that we're in, collaborating with travel partners, and hopefully to come to some kind of solution to move forward so the road isn't so bumpy, and also to really assess our clients' mindsets, both in the short term, so probably moving up to through the summer to December, and also in the long term, so looking through to a more optimistic 2021. I mean, the good news is that we're starting to receive bookings again, so that's great. And it's great to be here with these guys because we're all from a variety of market segments, and also with clients all over the world. So the first question really is, which market segment do we think is going to come back first, and which is going to take a little bit more time? John, Rebecca, Jason?
What we're going to see in the near term is travel bubbles are going to control the way openings occur. This is guided largely because of the way governments are very cautiously reopening their borders. So we're seeing, for example, in New Zealand opening very cautiously with Australia, and we're seeing it in Europe as well, where they're reopening their near-term borders before they open international travel. So that's going to direct a lot of where we're going. Trend-wise, for sure, we're going to see short road trips close to home, familial travel, celebrations, things that have been missed during the COVID time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that it's all leisure right now. You know, the corporate and the entertainment stuff is going to be much slower to come back, and especially for us, we do a lot of music touring, and that who knows when that's happening. I noticed they just canceled Coachella again yesterday for October, so it's all leisure stuff. It's people that are tired of being at home and want to get out, and it's mostly nearby, but it's a lot of private. They want to stay, you know, they want to know that they're still going to be able to social distance at the resort. or take it over completely and just have it to themselves with a few friends. And that's kind of the inquiries and the questions that we've been getting so far, only for leisure stuff.
Yeah. So really talking about leisure, Rebecca, that's one of your main that's one of your main segments. So are you you're receiving bookings right now? Which destinations are they booking?
I hear you.
Can't hear you.
We could hear her earlier.
Yeah. You've gone on mute. Yeah, you're unmuted.
Oh, there you go, I think.
Can you hear
Are
me
you back?
now?
Yes, yeah, we can hear you now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hi. Sorry, I don't know what happened there. Yes, I definitely think the leisure market is definitely the first to return for us. And I think also the demographic of people who are booking are generally the younger demographic. We've found a lot of our clients sort of in their 30s and 40s have been the first to come back and make bookings. And as Jason mentioned as well, a lot of the people who are booking places that are familiar to them or close to home. I think people are probably still quite uncertain about what might happen if we're going to have a second wave, and feel a lot more secure booking either domestic or drive away close to home or somewhere familiar. We've seen a lot of repeat bookings from prior vacations. I think last year we saw a lot of people looking for new adventures, but this year we're seeing a lot of repeats, people that are looking to go back to familiar favorites and for the security of being somewhere they know.
Yeah.
I think those
And
new
what kind of
destinations.
sorry, Jason.
No, I think just adding on to what Rebecca said, I think those new destinations are probably going to wait till next year or the year after.
Yeah.
They're going to explore places that are familiar to them right now, so, and easy to get home from.
Yeah, exactly. And then I guess also following what government guidelines are and quarantine, etc. What specific destinations are you seeing, both from the US client and the UK or European client? Which specific destinations? Is it Europe, Greece, France?
I think from the UK, we're definitely waiting to see where we're allowed to go. There's a lot of talk that we might be allowed to go to Portugal or Greece and France, but I think we're still waiting for better guidelines on that. If we can go for the quarantine, it seems as though most of Europe will open to us by the 1st of July, but again, it's quite uncertain. So right now, most of the bookings for UK members have been UK domestic, so the countryside.
Right.
We've had some island bookings as well, people you can go to without quarantine. So whilst it's all still uncertain, I think from a UK perspective, it's just domestic at the moment with cancelable trips nearby in Europe, so long as they're flexible and cancelable at this point.
I think I think John said it too just a minute ago. For us, it's the same. It's domestic. It's closer to where they live. If they're in New York, it's close to there. If they're in California, it's close to here. Arizona, New Mexico, California, that sort of thing. And I think that because of all those regulations and everything and the uncertainty, people are not sure about going to Europe yet. We do have clients that have asked about Europe maybe a little bit later in the summer, Greece in August, Portugal in July. Portugal seems to be the easiest right now. And that's about it. Hawaii has been they've asked about Hawaii, but Hawaii is still under a quarantine when you arrive. So until they lift that, it's going to be hard to get anybody there. So. And Mexico's been coming up for us. People have been asking about Mexico and what the restrictions and regulations are. So it's kind of it's also fluid. So everyone's kind of waiting to see what happens.
Yeah. And is that similar for you, John, as well?
We've got clients all over the world, but most of our clients are on the East and West Coast. It's all very regional based. We've got some East Coast clients that are doing Gulf of Florida trips, some that are venturing out to St. Lucia, which is one of the first islands to reopen in the Caribbean. Other clients are going out to the great wide open spaces. So we have other clients going to glamping resorts in Montana. We have Southern California clients driving to Santa Barbara, to Palm Springs. It's kind of all over the map. Italy is looking pretty positive for the
Great.
fall.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of interest in southern Italy and Sicily as well right now. But Europe, Portugal for sure is on the front end. Greece is on the front end. Italy clearly has got an eternal, appeal of being the #1 destination. So most of my suppliers there are preparing for an early July reopening, and there's lots of early interest
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Oh, that's really promising. I know from our clients too. I think a lot. We're booking a few trips to Portugal and Spain right now, which seem to be most popular. But the one thing that clients are feeling a little bit nervous about is the travel side. So whether they drive there, whether they do fly commercial. But are you finding that quite a few of your clients, I know you work with some very high-end clients, are choosing private jets? Is that becoming more and more popular?
It is. I mean, if they were used to doing it before, then yes.
Yeah.
And I think a few that didn't do it before are exploring the option. It's still a very expensive way to get around. So it just depends on their level and their comfort of paying that much. I mean, we've had more inquiries than we would have before, but I understand it because I think the resorts are one thing, like sending them to ranch in Montana or to Greece where they can be on an island, but it's getting there, which is the hardest part, and navigating that. And the uncertainty, and people ask a lot of questions about, is the plane clean? And, what about on my connection? Will people be wearing masks? And right now, because the schedules, the airlines change the schedules constantly right now because they're trying to adjust to this new demand, or lack of demand, and trying to navigate, where they have to connect through. It's a lot harder now because you used to be able to take a lot of nonstop flights that don't exist right now. So weird connections and longer connection times and stuff. And so they're worried about that part of it.
Okay. Yeah. And then I know, John, you mentioned something called jet pooling, which is quite interesting.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a new post-COVID phenomenon that is starting to develop. So basically, these are either extended families or groups of friends or close friends that are COVID safe per se, that are pooling together the resources to buy out a larger private jet to venture out to some destination. So, we're seeing a lot of interest in that. The bottom line is, as Jason said, this is a very expensive way to travel. And of course, jet pooling is going to help, managing that cost, and it's going to eliminate a lot of stress points that people are having with commercial airlines right now. So I think that we're going to see that grow. What's interesting is the private jet companies haven't really moved their pricing at all. In fact, their demand is probably higher than ever. So a lot of clients look at going from, say, New York to Montana, $45,000 and some change.
Right.
That's a lot of money, and not a lot of people are willing to spend that, but it's a growing phenomenon that we're seeing for sure.
Yeah. And looking forward to it, there seems to be quite a lot of emphasis on not so much privacy, but staying within your friends or family. And we're seeing the same with our clients. As regards the type of accommodation that people are booking, to help travel partners understand what our clients are wanting right now. A lot of our clients are, quite frankly, a bit sick of being at home. And one of my clients said the other day, well, Katie, why do I want to go and rent a villa somewhere else? I've been in my villa already. It's called my house. For the past 3 months, I actually want to see some people. Are you finding the same? Are you finding that people want villas, or they want villas within hotels, or they want to be able to access their rooms from the outside? Or what are you hearing from your clients right now?
We've definitely had an increase in villa requests from our side, but a lot of those have been in hotel villas, so they can also have access to the facilities at the hotel, and also the security of the hotel sanitization, whereas villas may not have the same sanitization regulations as the actual hotels themselves. So we've definitely seen an increase.
That's a good point.
we've definitely seen an increase into villas in hotels, and also smaller hotels, so where they can have more rooms and more space in the hotel. They're not packed into a sort of high-rise hotel building. And a lot of the European summer hotel are actually more spread out, and there is an emphasis more on space and having our own space, and they're definitely the more popular ones with our clients. I think the advantages of staying in a hotel, of course, with, as you said, people are frankly quite bored, and they've been sitting on their couch for 3 months. And I think having the option to actually go to a hotel which offers activities and facilities to get them, whether mainly outdoor, people are really looking for outdoor activities. That's really attractive to our clients at the moment, who are looking for things to do, dying of boredom in the last 3 months. So definitely to have the option to have the hotel's services there as well, and sanitization, which I think is key.
And have you noticed, I've noticed a little bit of, it kind of depends. Like if it's a family, they seem to want a villa more. If it's like just a couple, maybe they don't necessarily need a villa because they want a little more they don't want direct interaction, but they want a little more interaction with people. So it kind of depends, you know, on the size of the group, and if it's a family, and, you know, I know we've had like families that would normally send their kids to summer camp over the summer, and all those camps have been canceled. So now they're looking for a villa somewhere outdoorsy, so they can at least have that kind of summer camp feel for the kids. So it depends on the type of client.
I think also back to the type of client, you're certainly right with the families, but for couples, there's definitely been a shift towards larger rooms. From our side, people want to have the option to be able to stay in their room, maybe have an extra a suite or more space, or a hotel that just has an entry-level room which is larger than usual. So there's definitely, we're getting a lot of how big is the room question, which is not quite, it's not normal for us to have that amount of people checking how big their rooms are. And the demand towards hotels that have outdoor sort of like terraces, some hotels offer, you know, pools in the garden, mini dip pools. So I think that's definitely becoming more in demand at the moment, to give people the option to stay in their room should they want to.
Well, that's a good point. I think a lot of people will be spending more time in their rooms than they would at a normal time, right? So it makes sense that you'd want a little more space. So
yeah.
And yesterday when Katie and I were speaking, we were talking about like what are the specific types of properties that clients are looking for right now. So obviously open spaces are super important. Social distancing is really important. And the term I like to use is Airbnb killers. So we've got a lot of great like options for clients. So Sublime Comporta in southern Portugal, south of Lisbon, Pause Up out in Montana, you know, these types of properties, they're like self-contained homes, but they have the wraparound services of a hotel experience. Plus you've got wide open spaces, so you have that feeling of freedom and ease. And I think that us as travel designers, we're gonna see a huge surge in demand for these types of properties, and we need to like align ourselves with these partners to be ready.
Yeah. And moving back to the requests that we've had coming through. And I know, Rebecca, you've already sent some people away to some places. And have you encountered any hurdles or any issues along the way? I know it's a tough time for everyone, and staff are on furlough, and you know it's a struggle, and we all have to be very patient with each other. But is there, number one, have you had any hurdles? And number two, is there anything that travel partners and hotels can do to help us to make sure that clients are aware of what they need to be aware of, etc.?
I definitely think that the most important thing here is the communication from the hotels, particularly when it comes to very soon towards check-in. Hotels have been phenomenal when it comes to flexible cancellation policies, but once they do reopen, a lot of hotels have restricted the facilities that they're offering. And that comes from things like the gym, the pool, the kids clubs, the babysitting services. And it would just be particularly useful for us, this is following our discussion the other day, to have very clear communications on the facilities. We had a couple of check-ins in the last few weeks where clients were slightly surprised to find that when they had checked into the hotel, room service was the only dining option, and the restaurants were closed, which for us might be obvious because we're so involved in it. But for the average client that's going to a hotel, they might expect to see the full facility offering that would normally happen. So the communication on the restriction of services is really key, as well as anything that might be different from what the client would normally expect, even to the detail of some hotels have, one hotel we actually booked a client in last week, moved their front door to a side door and didn't mention it to us. And it was a little awkward when the client showed up and couldn't get in and thought the hotel was closed. So it's that sort of thing. I think the websites are not showing what facilities are open for that exact week, and I think that communication is really key. We do, of course, from a family holiday perspective, I imagine a lot of people have been homeschooling for months and desperate to go away and perhaps leave their kids in a kids club, and that's a lot of the appeal of actually going to hotels for them. And I know that a lot of kids clubs will be closed at the beginning of the openings in July, so that communication is really important to us anyway, so we can actually have our clients well informed before they make trips away and have that decision made with all the right information there.
So it'd be good almost on their website if they had an update of what's happening in the hotel and what's opening and what's not.
I think that would help
a lot. Yeah, that would help a lot. You could find it easily. It was just right there on the homepage of what what restrictions they have, and as Rebecca was saying, it's a lot for us to keep up with at every place. So what restaurants open? Is the spa open? Is the pool open or not? And I think that we also have to, with our clients, work with we have to kind of set their expectations, because they do have to understand that things are going to be closed. Not everything's going to be open. It's not going to be back to normal. This is not all of a sudden the resort is running back 100%. You can do everything that you used to be able to do. And for the most part, I think they'll understand that. But when you have clients who are used to certain things and they can't have that, you have to set those expectations before they even leave. We had an artist travel last week, and they always get an amenity in the room, and they always get this and that. Well, you know what? The hotel can't bring in an amenity right now. It's not allowed, and they're not going to do it. And
so it's about
you have to.
So it's about managing expectations and
but we need the hotels to help us to manage those expectations, because we don't know at every property, like Rebecca said, we don't know all the restrictions they are currently under. So clear communication, and even when you've just booked the client there, if they if they have your contact information, or if you've sent a note over, just reply back with everything that isn't open or that you can't do right now, or that your door moved.
Exactly.
And can I just add, one of the things that we talked about yesterday was how certain suppliers are not budging on their deposit and cancel policies. And us as travel designers and partners can change that conversation. So it doesn't matter that they're always full in the Caribbean for festive week. Things can change very quickly. And we can be the driving force with our suppliers to say, hey, you need to meet this moment. You need to be more relaxed with your change and cancel penalties. And we had clients that were traveling to a well-known private island resort in the Caribbean for festive. And initially the booking was totally inflexible. Give us half the deposit now, give us half in 6 months, no refund, no change. And in having the dialogue with our partner, we said to them, look, it's really important that you become more flexible with this. And going forward, this is something that clients are going to remember. So we as travel advisors and designers can influence their policies. And I think that is a big challenge we're still seeing with some of them, where they're not moving that flexibility, and they need to know that that's imperative right now. And that is going to drive business back to them.
No, I agree. I think cancellation policies are, they're key. But just in the last, we've only got a few minutes left. I just wanted to touch more optimistically on 2021, because I know our clients are really, they're just itching to get away, and they want to go on an adventure, and they want to do something new, and they've been in lockdown, they know what's on their wish list now, they've spoken to their kids, they know, they know what they want to do, but what is it a new future, new sort of normal of travel? Are people now going to want more of a wholesome experience? Over to you.
I think we talked about this in our call the other day, right?
Yeah.
About what 2021 might look like, and past that. And I think that, what we had mentioned is those trips that were kind of their bucket list, like I have to do this, are not going to happen this year, and may not happen next year. But I think, and I hope, hopefully being optimistic here, that will just mean more in 2021 and 22. They're behind, right? Like, so they want to, they're going to go to those places, and given, given everything that's happened with the pandemic, and then some of our political stuff happening here in the US, I think that you're going to see some changes in what people want to see and what people want to learn about. And at least I hope that you're going to see changes in what people want to learn about, and maybe understand better, so they can look at themselves as well. So I think there's some interesting changes going on, and I think 2021, as long as we have some treatments and we have some some way to prevent this, then people will be back going to those places they've always wanted to go to, and doing their thing, I hope. So
let's be positive. And John, you really interestingly touched upon awareness, traveling with more awareness of the planet, and people will be traveling more for wildlife, and you touched on Thailand, and that was really interesting when we chatted yesterday.
Well, I think that we're going to see wellness is going to be redefined, not just in 2021, but I think right now, when we look at those of us that haven't even been directly affected by COVID, we've been battered, mentally, emotionally, financially.
Yeah.
And really, like the imperative going forward about what wellness is going to become is a lot less about kind of pampering and maybe diet changes, but it's going to be like, following something like the whole J wellness theme that was made popular by Marie Kondo recently.
Yeah.
It's like this lifelong pursuit of wellness. And you look to places like Japan that have really excelled in a wellness culture. I think that it's going to be part of what this market is going to look like. It's going to be about relaxation, building immunity. And then also, when you look at the other side of that, conservation is vital. We've seen extinct or almost extinct species come back, bottlenose dolphins in Thailand, things like that. So conservation is going to also be an important part of the future. So wellness and conservation will be in the forefront. And I think that we'll also see big trips that didn't happen this year will be put off to 2021, and that hopefully those will occur when we have something to take care of COVID.
Yeah. So people are probably going to be traveling to more remote places. It's true, the way the planet's healing itself, and I guess that has to have an impact on how people are traveling now. But now we've got some questions. Let me read the first one. So how often do you have inquiries and bookings for Q3 and Q4 at the moment? And do you anticipate this number to grow? Also, what sort of inquiries are you seeing for 2021, destinations, room type and budget? Rebecca, do you want to?
I think when this started, I was convinced that everyone was going to book their Christmas holidays from now. Mm-hmm. And in fact, they haven't. We've had much fewer inquiries for end of year than I thought we would, and the bookings that we're getting are much more immediate. And I guess that's reflective of the uncertainty in the market. The bookings we do have for the end of this year and beginning of next are peak bookings. So it's February half term, Christmas holidays, where people would perhaps want to go anyway if they've been before. It's a lot of Maldives, Mauritius or ski for early next year, because actually the offers, the rates are in their favor, as well as the cancellation policies. So those are the bookings we are having at the end of the year, but the most bookings we do have at the moment are for the immediate future. And again, that's probably reflective of we're not sure where we're going to be at the end of the year. So the uncertainty sort of sinks in at that point. But I'm sure once this summer is over, the end of year and early next year bookings will hopefully flood in at that point. People will all want something to look forward to in more, I suppose, normal times, or whatever the new normal is.
Yeah.
Let's hope so, Rebecca.
I hope so.
Jason?
Yeah, no, it's similar. We've had a few inquiries about festive, but very few. And I don't know if it's the uncertainty. People don't know what's going to be like in the fall, if we're going to have a second wave of the coronavirus or what. It's just, we also tend to have clients that don't book that far ahead. They're very last minute, and that's just kind of been the nature of our business for a long time.
Yeah.
But those that do book ahead have only asked questions about it, and I think most of their questions are about flexibility and what happens if they can't go, or if there all of a sudden there's travel restrictions again. And so I think that the properties just need to be aware of that, and just to know that this festive season is going to be unlike any festive season, I think, in the last, I don't know, 10, 20 years.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to be able to ask for those 10, 14 night minimums probably.
No.
And you're going to have a lot more flexibility than you book it now and you're stuck with it. So it's interesting, but yeah, mostly of our stuff has just been immediate, and then there's been a few, like, what can I do next year? I'm not quite ready to go out this year. And it's some of our older clients who aren't necessarily comfortable maybe doing it this year, but they're looking to the future because they still want to go do what they want to see. And
also, I think a lot to do with time off work. People have been off work for a while, and we didn't know when we're going to go back to the office. And at that point, are we going to be able to take a 2-week holiday, having just taken 3 months, 4 months, 5 months? We don't know, out the office. So I think a lot
forced holiday, yeah,
a lot to do with that as
well. And then from somebody else, do you feel your clients' budgets have now increased, especially if they are looking at bigger room types?
Well, I think that those that have a healthy budget previously still have them now. They weren't affected monetarily by COVID for various reasons. I wouldn't say I'm seeing that they're larger, but I think we're seeing a bit of a, travel now while you're able, particularly in the holiday period in the near end. I'm seeing that people are certainly trading up at times. Clients are looking at private island resorts and things that have not only like a high-end experience, but have a better feeling of security. But I'm not seeing like a trading up per se. I think if you have the means, you're going to continue to have them.
Okay. And then one on South America. So I guess looking towards to 2021, what is the image of South America in general? Where do you think travelers will consider visiting destinations like Ecuador and Galapagos in the next 9-month window?
I think for us, I think it's all about perception, right? I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I'd be fine with Ecuador and Galapagos, but people kind of lump, at least here in the U.S., maybe not so much in Europe, but people tend to lump areas together. So when you see all the bad news about Brazil and everything, well, it trickles out into the rest of South America, and that kind of, it kind of flavors their opinion about going there. So I think it's gonna be wait and see. I think it's too far away from home right now for a lot of people to consider. Not easy to get back to if they have a problem, or get back from if they have a problem. But it'll come back. It's those places that are kind of on people's wish list, and they'll come back to it when they feel it's probably safer. But right now, I think it's going to be a little bit hard for South America.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, John, what do you think, John?
Well, we had clients cancel a big Ecuador trip and Galapagos cruise for festive, and we booked for a private island in the Caribbean. I think that the images that we saw early on, particularly in Ecuador, were harrowing, and their health system was overwhelmed, and they're just now starting to get back up on their feet. So I think that that kind of plays into people's insecurities about being somewhere abroad. And if I were to get sick, am I going to have to interact with this kind of health system? So I think that South America is going to have a longer recovery than other parts of the world as they get some headway with COVID. But we're seeing a lot of apprehension and for sure a big cancellation.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, there's one here on villas actually, which is quite interesting because we've had exactly the same issues. We have a lot of demand for private villas. Unfortunately, and especially in the US, there are not many suppliers. Do you use Airbnb, home and away? What's your advice?
I for us, and I'm not bashing, like I'm not bashing any supplier, so I hope that this does not come across this way. But Airbnb is not a great option for us. We don't use it a lot. It's very hard to know what the quality of the place is. It's not very well regulated, and especially now you don't know what their cleaning is like and all that stuff. So One Fine Stay is definitely a much better option for us. That's kind of what we go to first, or one of the first ones that we go to, especially for US, and then we'll go to luxury retreats, which actually is owned by Airbnb, funnily enough, but it's more curated, and it was a company on its own before that. And then there's some more targeted villa companies, like if you're looking in Colorado, or if you're looking in Napa or whatever, that you can go to. And
it's
then
quite destination specific, though.
It is.
We found the same thing.
Yeah, it is here, and I wish there was a better product that kind of tied it all together. But I think if you want kind of an overall One Fine Stay is great, and so is luxury retreats. But Airbnb, not sure about it for our clients.
No. Okay, and fine. Yeah, sorry, Rebecca.
No, I was just going to say that I think we're noticing that hotels are now offering more villa options, hotel groups. So I know that Marriott's just launching a hotel, a villa and retreat section. Four Seasons have their retreats, which are expanding. I think it might be Accor that have One Fine Stay.
Accor does.
Exactly.
And
I think the security of having
theirs too. So
it's the security of having that hotel partner behind, which probably makes it a bit easier. So
and it's also easier for us to work with them as well, isn't it?
It's much easier, and we'll have
because we're finding all the because all the local companies that we're working with, it's very difficult to work with them. I think because right now people are renting villas, lots of villas, so they don't need the business, which makes it even trickier.
I think that can I just say one thing about that, Katie? And I know that it is kind of hard in the US, and I think that just from everything that's happened, I think that we'll all be open to helping each other. So I know from our perspective, like if you ever had a question, or if anybody out there had a question about, I don't know where to find this for my client, we can all help each other. It's not about like, oh, well, it's not my client, so I'm not going to help you. And I'm happy to answer any questions. And I'm sure you guys all feel the same way. Like after all this crap we've been through the last 3 or 4 months, we should all be helping each other. If anybody has any question about, any of that stuff, and I haven't, and you think I might have an answer, well, please feel free to reach out to me, and I'd be happy to. If I don't have an answer, I'll say, I wish I could help you, but if I can, I'll help you. So
I think we all feel the same way, and I think this is what this conversation's been about, just working together, collaborating, just to make it happen, and just to move bookings forward, and just to get travel moving again. Right, there's one final question. With so many travel conferences cancelled for the fall, Virtuoso, Signature, IMAX, what is your honest opinion on the participation of these type of events through the end of the year?
It's hard to tell.
John?
I mean, it's going to be dependent on, again, how states and individual cities deal with the crisis ongoing. Obviously, many of us are in the middle of reopening right now, and it is dependent on every single individual to keep COVID in check. If we all kind of go crazy and go wild with this pent up kind of energy we've got, we are going to have a second surge. I think the other X factor is the Black Lives Matter movement is really something that nobody had predicted that was going to potentially be a roadblock for our recovery. And us as travel designers and advisors, we need to watch that closely because there is a possibility of a second surge. So it's too early to tell. I think that what we're looking at is a shorter term window to be able to see what the future has ahead for us. But you know, whether we're talking LA Miami in October or other conferences, it's really too early to tell. We need to watch and see what happens.
I think it also is going to depend on, you know, you've had a lot of travel companies that haven't had any business for months, so there's budget, you know, you have to have a budget to go to all those things. So there may be less participation because instead of going to 5 travel conferences this year, well, you're going to go to 2 because that's what your budget allows.
Yes, you're going to handpick.
And can I just, you know, John brought up the Black Lives Matter movement, and it's been something that we've been talking about as a company and what we can do as a company, and we've been meeting and talking about what initiatives we can try to put in place. And I would encourage everyone to do the same thing. And I think that there's an opportunity here also to have some sort of travel product or travel reach out that helps with the movement. And also there may be a lack, there is a lack of tours that talk about Black history and that sort of thing. And there's an opportunity there for us to kind of add those to our menu of things that we offer and have it be something that people experience and that there's going to be a demand for that. And I'm glad that there is. I think the change is needed. So. Yeah.
No, absolutely. So are you planning on going to LA Miami in October?
Yes. I want to get out of here.
Me too. I'll be jumping on the plane, I think. John, Rebecca?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
See you there.
If it's allowed, I'll be there.
John's already there. Look at his background.
He made it there before us. Right now, I'm being told we should hand back over to Sahaba. But thank you. That was great.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks guys so much. Katie, John, Rebecca, Jason, it was really great to hear firsthand from you guys, you know, straight from the horse's mouth, what you guys are hearing, what you're experiencing. So thanks for being so candid with us today. And to all of you guys that tuned in today as well, thank you so much for your time and for making sure that you're here with us this evening. And I hope that today's session was useful, but I have some good news. It's only part 1. We're going to be inviting you all to join us next Wednesday for part 2 of the discussion, where you'll have the chance to connect with one another directly. We're going to split into smaller discussion groups so we can collaborate and we can discuss future business and opportunities together. So it'll be very interactive. I know there were a lot of questions we didn't have time to get to today, so please make sure you bring these with you next week, and we'll do our best to get them answered in these discussion groups. You're going to go ahead and receive an invitation for part 2 tomorrow. So when you get that, just make sure you register to reserve your spot for next Wednesday. And last but not least, tomorrow we're going to actually be doing a gathering of the LA Miami Collective for a virtual house party. So log into Zoom at 5 p.m. BST with the cocktails ready to go. If you're on the West Coast, you know, Jason, John, bring your mimosa. And we'll be playing chat roulette LE style, which means we're going to be breaking into these smaller virtual rooms for a little bit more personal catch-ups. And we'll go ahead and swap rooms several times throughout the hour, so you get the chance to reconnect with as many of your LE friends as possible. And at the end, we're going to come back together for one final trip down memory lane before we sign off for the night and start our weekends. We'll send a reminder email for that right after this, so stay tuned. Registration link's right in there if you haven't signed up already. And for today, that's it for all of us. And we look forward to seeing you tomorrow and seeing you again next week. Thanks, guys.